You know who it is, Don Castaneda, expert life coach, recovery coach, intervention professional. I'm going to talk about my psych ward experience and what it's really like in a psych ward, and how I survived and how I almost died, and a lot of just crazy things that happen in the psych ward, what it's really like from my experience and from what I've seen firsthand. I've spent 10 years locked up, a decade, some of that in jail, but most of it in the psych ward. 7 years in the psych ward, about 3 years in jail. So it's really, I'd rather be in jail. I'd probably rather be in prison. I would not want to go to psych ward ever again. Prison, a psych ward prison is pretty bad. I went to civilian psych wards, but max security is so bad. You're just outnumbered. It's just you know, it's kind. They're like gangs. All these nurses, they gang up on you, they drug you up, hold you down. You can't really fight back. You're unarmed. So unless you have a inside gang, inside connections, but everyone's drugged up. You can't defend yourself, right? So it's impossible. You have to have people on the outside helping you. You have to dox these nurses and dox these doctors, and you have to become an extremist if you want to survive. But because doctors overstep their boundaries, doctors, they kill a lot of psych patients. There's 250,000 deaths in the U.S. every single year from medical malpractice, which by definition is a preventable medical mistake. Preventable, right? Keyword preventable. So these doctors, they're misprescribing meds, they're overdosing patients, they're not being hygienic, they're not washing their hands, all sorts of stuff. All sorts of doctors, not just psych doctors, but even medical doctors. But psych doctors, it's really easy to diagnose someone based on, they call it symptoms, right? If I'm violent, right? Say I choose to be violent. It's what I'm doing of my own conscious and sound mind. I'm making this decision. I don't care about the consequences. It's not irrational. It's not illogical thinking. It's not disorganized thinking. I know I might get caught, but I'm willing to deal with the consequences, whatever they may be. If that's medication, okay, whatever. But if I choose, if it's jail time or prison, okay, whatever. So it's like a consequence I'm willing to accept. But for a doctor to think that that's like schizophrenia or psychosis or bipolar disorder, that's where they're just abusing their authority, because they know that's incorrect. The only way for them to medicate me if I'm violent is to be on a certain axis. It's like axis 1 or axis 2, something like that, like schizophrenic, psychosis, bipolar. They can't, a psych doctor cannot medicate you legally if if you have personality disorder. If you have personality disorder or even autism, there's some medication, really it's just treatment, talk therapy, and different things they can use, right? But it's not legal to really say, well, you're autistic, we're going to put you on an antipsychotic. Or if you have a personality disorder, we're going to put you on an anti-schizophrenic. You're not schizophrenic, you're not psychotic. You have personality disorder or you're autistic. Those are my disorders. I have personality disorders and I have some autism. I'm on the spectrum according to a doctor, and I've also been diagnosed with cluster B personality traits, which is borderline, antisocial, histrionic, and narcissistic, right? But mild forms of each is what this doctor said, right? These doctors choose to invalidate those diagnoses because it goes against the narrative of what they're trying to portray me as. They want to portray me as psychotic, bipolar, schizophrenic, schizoaffective, paranoid individual, just crazy person, right? That needs to be medicated, because with medication, they make money. My medication, that I was on double the dose, which was illegal, of Sustenna and Vega. And the max dose is 234 milligrams a month, which doubled the dose, it's about $7,000 a month. They were spending $7,000 a month. Big Pharma was making at least $7,000 a month from me taking their medications. They dropped it down to one dose every month of the max dose, which is still about $3,500 now. It's like $3,700 a month at least. That drug is expensive. Most people cannot afford it. And even with their insurance, the deductible is like $400 a month. It's crazy. It's a lot. So it sucks. It's no good. It's like a little dose of heroin. It's like a bump of heroin, maybe a 20 line of heroin. You ever tried heroin? It's a downer. It suppresses your organs. It makes you slow. It slows down your metabolism. You gain weight. It's supposed to calm you down, but really it just blocks your dopamine. So because it's blocking your dopamine, you don't feel pleasure. You don't feel happiness or joy, really. You might be calm throughout the days if you're truly manic, But if you're not, if you just have a personality disorder like me, or you're autistic, it sucks ass. It's no good. It's not gonna help. It doesn't help you enjoy life. It doesn't. Your motivation goes away. You're not motivated to go out, travel the world, meet new people, start relationships, get married, have children, start working hard every day, wake up in the morning, drink your coffee, and just live a normal life, right? With the 9 to 5 cycle. But things are much more difficult, right? It messes you up, messes your circadian rhythm up, your endocrine system up, all that stuff. So your metabolism would be messed up. It messes up your heart. So I get high blood pressure now. It messes up your memory, gives you foggy thoughts, kind of groggy. But yeah, medication is no good if you have personality disorder or autism, right? So a lot of these doctors, they understood, let me get back on track, but that with medications, they can control your behavior, right? I was on behavior modification treatment program, BMTP unit, which is to control your behavior, modify your behavior. So it's kind of like a form of brainwashing. If you mess up, you do something they don't like. If you're disrespectful, they drug you, and that's supposed to teach you a lesson like, don't talk shit, don't be disrespectful, don't get in fights, or we're gonna drug you up. They don't even tell you why they're drugging you up. They just grab you, put you in the chair, restrain you, and then drug you up. And you're unconscious, you're vomiting, or you're drooling over yourself, or you're defecating yourself, or pissing yourself, shitting yourself. It's no good. But especially the fact, it's kind of like spanking a child, not telling him why you're spanking him, right? The child doesn't even know why he's being abused, why he or she is being abused. Why am I being spanked? Why am I feeling all this pain? In the psych ward, it's kind of the same concept. Why am I getting medicated? Why am I in this chair? Like, what did I do wrong? I don't understand. They don't tell you. So you have to kind of guess. If you're smart, you'll be like, okay, well, I can't get in a fight. I can't throw food. We can't get in a food fight, even if we're playing. We can't do self-defense if we're defending ourselves. We can't do any of that. You have to understand as you go along. So I learned the hard way, right? Some people, they don't do anything wrong. They don't get medicated much. But if you make a few mistakes, you get medicated a lot, heavily. I've seen patients die. There was a patient who went cockeyed, right? She went cockeyed. Her whole eye went cockeyed from medication. She's permanently retarded. That's neurological damage. The brain messed up the muscular control of her eye. And some patients can't speak. Their tongue loses their motor functioning to where the brain cannot communicate with the tongue, so you can't speak. It's like you'll talk like this, you won't be able to talk. You won't be able to control your tongue. So that's how you'll sound. Some people have that permanently. That happened to me. It happened to me for maybe 2 to 4 weeks. And they had me on some medication, like a cocktail, for getting in a fight. And that's what happened to me. So if they want to punish you, they want to silence you. They just don't want you talking. They don't want you, they want to, some of it's like sadistic. I think they get joy out of inflicting pain and punishment on patients. A lot of it is experimental, and they don't know. There's a lot of unknown side effects that they don't want to chart. You'll tell them I'm experiencing these side effects like nightmares or hallucinations. They'll be like, well, medication doesn't do that. Medication doesn't cause nightmares. It doesn't make you hallucinate or hear voices. That's your mental illness. It's like, no, I've never had that before. That's the medication, but they can't chart that because big pharma will lose money, right? The doctors will, they'll have to reconsider giving medications to these patients, which if they can't give medications, they get fired, they lose money, they lose clients, they don't get paid. So they need to get paid. Big pharma needs to get paid. It's just a business. It's a corrupt business, right? But I'll tell you some more experiences on the psych ward. There's child predators. There's a guy there that raped a 2-year-old baby. Not even a child, like a baby, an infant. His 2-year-old stepdaughter. He claimed to have intermittent explosive disorder, IED disorder. And he said he just went off or snapped or whatever. And so he stabbed the baby. And I don't want to go too far into detail, but he stabbed the baby and then he raped it. And so this other patient, killed his mother. Another patient killed a school teacher. And so you have these heinous individuals that there'll be some gang members on the unit who, you don't want to think they're honorable, but they understand that some people need to be taught a lesson. So we'll get together, we'll fight these people. The nurses, there'll be conspiracies, right? There'll be conspiracies in the psych ward where this is a big thing in psych wards, like the ones that I've been to, Max, all the psych wards that I've been to. There's little conspiracies where a staff member, like one of the psychiatric nursing assistants, a PNA, that they'll look at the records on their computer. Oh, this patient committed this crime. This patient committed this crime. Okay, we have a Marine, we have a gang member here that's in the Texas Mafia or Texas Syndicate or whatever. We're gonna talk to them, and we're gonna tell them what this patient killed a school teacher or this patient raped a kid, and see what they do. So they'll tell us, and we'll be like, okay, we know what to do. So we'll go find them, right? And obviously in prison it's much worse because that's how people get killed. Same concept. The guards in prison will say, hey, this person killed a child. This person killed his girlfriend or something like that. So if you kill a woman, if a white guy kills a white woman, he's going to be taught a lesson by the Aryan Brotherhood, by white supremacists, by neo-Nazism, neo-Nazis, whatever, right? White knights, all that stuff, right? So Mexican, same thing with Mexican. Mexican dude kills a Mexican girl, his girlfriend or whatever, even if he's mentally ill or whatever, Mexican Mafia, Orejon, Tango Blast, all that, these Mexican gangs are going to teach him a lesson, probably kill him, right? They don't care. You do something like that, that's a dishonor, right? There's certain rules, even in gangs, in prisons, you know, that you can't be homosexual if you're in a gang. They're going to kick you out, or if they find out, or you're never going to be allowed in the first place. And, you know, you have to do your push-ups, you have to stay in shape, you have to follow the code of conduct, you got to make money, you got to work, stuff like that, right? Support your family. And so there's these basic things, right? You can't just be a slob, watching TV all day, being useless, not standing up for your crew, not representing, things like that, right? So, you know, in the psych ward, these conspiracies happen. The nurses tell gang members or soldiers, you know, of these other individuals, child predators, people that killed their mom or school teacher. We go teach them a lesson, and the doctors don't know anything. So other nurses, like the RNs, the registered nurses, the doctors, psychiatrists, they don't know what's going on. All right. So it's just a conspiracy between 2 to 4 individuals max, maybe 2 to 3, 2 to 4 max. So just a few people know. So the doctors, all they see is a fight. All they see is a fight breaking out. Maybe some people getting sliced up, stabbed, whatever, cut up, beat up, broken nose, whatever. And you know, they send all their nurses out to go restrain us, medicate us, put us in a restraint chair, medicate us you got to be in the chair for like at least 4 hours, right? You can't piss, shit. You're gonna shit yourself, piss yourself. You'll be lucky if they let you out. They usually don't. And you're gonna get fucked up. It's gonna fucking make you retarded, at least temporarily for the most part, if not permanently. If you don't go cockeyed, if you don't lose your form of speech, if your tongue doesn't swell up, if you don't have side effects, if it doesn't mess up your heart, you can have organ failure. It's gonna mess you up. Drugs, for the most part, they used to give lobotomies. If I didn't mention this already, they used to give lobotomies to patients in the 1950s and 60s, and that fucked up a lot of normal people, right? If you're autistic and you have personality disorder, a lot of doctors just claim that you're schizophrenic, psychotic, or whatever, and you're not. You're not psychotic, you're not bipolar, you're not schizophrenic or paranoid or anything. You have personality disorders or autism or some other disorder like that. They're not supposed to medicate you. The doctors nowadays, they throw out diagnosis and medication like it's nothing, like it's candy. They just dish it out. They want to make money. They don't care. They go to work. They get a patient from jail or prison. Okay, your skids, medication, case closed. That's it. They don't care. There's no interview. There's no questionnaire. There's no blood analysis. Nothing. No MRI. Nothing. No CAT scan. Nothing. So for me, anyway, if I didn't mention this already, I'm on the autistic spectrum. I have, you know, autism spectrum disorder, ASP, whatever it is, right? Autism spectrum disorder, ASD, you know, but something like that. I haven't done too much research on it. A doctor told me that she believes I'm on the spectrum, and I believe I am as well. But also personality disorders. Another doctor said I have cluster B personality disorders, which is borderline disorder, antisocial disorder, histrionic disorder, and narcissism, right? So I believe there's healthy narcissism where you can, I have a mild form of each of those, right? Mild form. But narcissism, I believe in having self-esteem, confidence, loving yourself, respecting yourself, understanding yourself. And then histrionic, maybe that's like attention seeking. And any YouTube content creator wants attention, right? That's how you're gonna make money with ads and all that. I mean, that's common sense. So, that's these are explainable. So then the antisocial and borderline, when I was younger, I made a lot of bad mistakes. I just didn't have a really good role model growing up. So that's just the way I grew up. I didn't know any better. I had bad influences in my life. That doesn't make you mentally ill. It doesn't make you schizophrenic, psychotic, or bipolar, or any of that bullshit. But I do have PTSD because I was in the Iraq War in the Marine Corps after 9/11. In 2006, 2007 is when I served in OIF 6, Operation Iraqi Freedom 6. So there was a lot before that happened in the war. I went a little bit after. It was a little bit peaceful. It wasn't as bad as it was in the beginning, but it's still combat experience that I do have PTSD from. So a lot of doctors, they don't care. They don't understand. They're like, well, you're not a soldier anymore. It's like, it doesn't matter. I still carry things on my shoulders and things in my heart, things in my mind that are never going to leave. And I'm not going to just be like, well, here's one of the big things they say, like, always leave it up to the cops. Well, the cops, where are they at? I mean, there's all this stuff happening in the world, and the cops are nowhere to be found. They're nowhere to be found. They're doing some things and they're scouting, but they're just limited personnel. And a psych doctor lives in fairy tale land. They're like, oh, leave it up to the cops. I've talked to a doctor. She was a female psychologist, and I said, what happens if someone breaks in your house and you don't have a gun? She said she didn't have a gun. And she's like, oh, I die. I'm like, yeah, obviously you die. They're going to kill you, and you're too dumb to get a freaking gun to defend yourself. I mean, some of these doctors are dumb. They're just like, they don't care about the right to bear arms, Second Amendment, our founding fathers, what all the wars have been fought for, and all these freedoms that we have, and all of our rights and our God-given, divine primal rights. And she's just like, didn't even care. These doctors, they're not as smart as people think they are. Here's some more about what really happens in a psych ward. I know I'm going often in detail about different things, but for instance, I've seen a female nurse on Facebook in a video, right, in the Facebook feed, in the news feed, playing with herself, right, 100% naked, masturbating on camera for one of the patients, right. I'm not going to say any names, but it sounds funny, it sounds inappropriate in a way, it might be funny to some people, but she was a drug dealer. And there was another drug dealer on the unit, right? So this nurse, she was a psychiatric nursing assistant. She claimed to be mentally ill. She was mentally ill. She had problems. She did have problems. But, she would smuggle in drugs to another drug dealer on the unit, on the psych patient unit, and he would distribute drugs to the other patients, and they would all get high. We all had a high blood pressure. A lot of us were doing drugs, not everyone, but one of the guys died. They don't know why. They said his pacemaker went out same time as drugs were being distributed. Who knows? I don't know. I can't really say too much about that. It's up to the autopsy report. But this woman, we had sent her money. We were giving her money. We were giving her a lot of money, and because we were working and we just had a little bit of money. And she had kids, and she was trying to support them with diapers and food and all that. You know how it is. And a lot of these women, they want to make money. They sell their bodies and all that. But she wasn't really selling her body, just like, virtually, I guess. So she wasn't, at like risk of disease or anything, which is one thing. But it was on this psych patient's feed that he was a drug dealer. I had let him borrow my phone. And he was on Facebook doing some stuff, communicating with his family and his friends and all that. And he gave me back the phone, and then he didn't sign out. So I'm like, what is this guy up to? He's been asking me a lot of questions. He's been spying on me, getting my phone. He's looking me up and all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do some reconnaissance on him. and I looked at the feed, and I saw this that nurse playing with herself. So, you know, I mean, that's just one of the things. So that's like maybe a conspiracy. There's a relationship. There's a relationship there, obviously. And so it might have been 100% transactional. It could have been like a thank you. It could have been like maybe they were going to get together later, but I don't think they formed that, you know, solid relationship later. But they both had disorders, which is not a good combination. But obviously there's something wrong with her. So, I mean, that's normal for some girls, but for a nurse to be messing with a psych patient like that, sending them videos, you know. So another thing, and she was also smuggling in drugs. She was smuggling methamphetamine into this was at Kerrville State Hospital here in Texas. And, you know, she was smuggling in meth, Copenhagen dip, all sorts of probably other stuff, pills and all that. And they're just mixing it up. And probably getting laced up and all that stuff. And, you know, so that's what happens. On psych wards, that's how you get drugs, just like prison. The guards smuggling phones in their vaginas, the women, and the guys. I don't think they put the phones in their butts, but they leave it up to the women to put the little cell phones in their vaginas, like in a condom, so it doesn't mess up the phone. They take it out, whatever, it's clean, kind of. And they make money, but it's also a deal. So they don't, because they don't want to get stabbed by the prisoners. That's the prisoner's home. That's their territory. They have shanks, they get shanks, they have weapons. They could spread AIDS with a needle. They could get a patient with AIDS or a prisoner with AIDS, get a little drop of blood, give it to a guard. I mean, that's a threat. And if I was a guard, I'd be scared. I'd be like, I don't want AIDS. I don't want to get stabbed. I want to go home to my family. I'm just trying to make money. I'm just trying to survive. And, you know, just trying to make it through the day. So, okay, I'll get you whatever you want. Here's a phone. Here's some drugs. That's how they get drugs smuggled in. That's how they get things smuggled in. Tattoo equipment. How else do you think it gets smuggled in, right? Not really drones. Not really, because they have guards watching everything. They have towers. They have the boss men on the horses and all that with the shotguns and all sorts of shit. So that's the same concept in the psych ward, right? They get the nurses to smuggle in stuff, right? The doctors, they play solitaire on their phone. They're lazy. They're incompetent. They think everybody's fucked up and everybody needs to be fixed with medication. Really, just Big Pharma makes so much money. Big Pharma, these doctors work for them. They need to get paid. Doctors get paid well over $100,000, probably $150,000 a year, at least working for the state. If you have a private practice and you're a psychiatrist, probably $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, right? You have your own private practice. The psychiatrists working for the state, they probably still make pretty damn good money. And, you know, they don't want to lose their job. And they want you to fit this narrative that you're psychotic or schizophrenic or bipolar, you need medication, you need to understand it. Here's another thing. They try to make you they'll say, oh, you don't have insight. I don't have insight. What you're saying is an opinion. It's not a fact. A mental diagnosis is an opinion. It's not a fact like cancer or heart disease that you could do an X-ray scan for or a blood test, right? Or an MRI or something, right? A tumor, you can see a tumor on an MRI scan. Bipolar, you can't see it. You could do a blood test. They don't do that. You can't really see schizophrenia or any of that. It's just an opinion. It's not a fact. So when they say, you don't have insight into your opinion, it's like, well, my opinion is you're full of shit and you don't even know what you're doing. You're abusing, you're committing medical malpractice to all these patients. That's my opinion. And you don't have insight into the fact that you're corrupt. You don't have insight. They'll be like, well, blah, blah, that's an opinion. Well, no shit, it's my opinion. Just like your shit is an opinion. So that's where they try to do this wordplay. I've had a case manager say, that's a good argument. That's a good argument. Because I don't have to have insight into someone else's opinion. I can understand it, but you can't say it like it's a fact, right? So these are some of the things you have to do with insight words. The nurse might try to kill you. They've attacked me. They've almost broke my neck. They punched me in the temple twice. I've been attacked by patients. They instigate violence. They want to see violence. They're bored. They want to see action. A lot of nurses, psychiatric nursing assistants, are like 20 years old, 18 years old, fresh out of high school. They're dumb. A lot of them are stupid. You got to think, why are they working here in this shitty job around a bunch of sick, diseased, mentally ill patients? Because they can't get a better job. And why would they accept a job making $13 an hour? That's what it was a couple years ago at San Antonio State Hospital. I would travel out on these passes, and I see a sign in the front. Start working here as a PNA, starting at $13 an hour, $13 an hour. Even if it's like $15 an hour now, that's not a lot of money. Working with these insane, smelly, stinky, heinous, like people you just want to beat up, people you just want to punch in the face, and like these people that spit on you, they throw their shit on you, people that vomit everywhere, they're sick, heinous individuals that raped children or committed rape. I've been at San Antonio State Hospital where some of the patients raped women, multiple women. They went to prison, then they got out, and then they raped more women, right? And they've raped underage children. So, why would you want? Why as a grandmother or a mother or a father, or if you're a respectable individual, why would you put yourself in that environment for $13 or $15 an hour? You wouldn't. You're dumb. So the way they're going to treat you, the only reason I'm saying that, I still have some respect for some of them, but the reason I'm saying that is because they're not going to make the best decisions. They're going to kind of be violent. They're going to instigate violence. They're going to do what they feel is kind of gangster or right thing to do, which is like, that's how they get away with these conspiracies, right? And you might think, well, that's kind of intelligent in a way, right? They're taking care of business, but they don't care about you. They don't care about you. If you're committing violence on their behalf, they might give you a sandwich or a treat as a reward. But when you get medicated, put in a chair, and then the doctors put you on hardcore medications for years and years and years, you're suffering a serious consequence for this nurse that doesn't care anything about you, that's making $13 an hour. And so that's what I'm saying. Either they're dumb, or they don't care about you at all, and they're extremely intelligent. So they're either extremely intelligent and they're just manipulative, right? Deceitful, and just cynical, and they don't care about you at all. But so if that's the case, okay, they're extremely intelligent. But in my experience, most of them are kind of dumb, right? Smuggling in drugs, alcohol, making very little money. Because if they were extremely intelligent, they wouldn't work there unless they're a psychopath or some sort of serial killer or something like that, right? If they're extremely intelligent, they'd be working somewhere else making $1 million a year. $1 million a year, right? Starting their own business, doing something. So that's just kind of how I see it. When they chart on you, they say you're combative, even if you were acting in self-defense. If you were acting in self-defense to defend yourself, or you're defending a female nurse, they'll say you're violent and combative. They'll say you're violent and combative, and that you had a psychotic episode, and you need to be medicated immediately. So that's the kind of bullshit. The words they use to really mess you up, to really mess up your life and destroy your life, make you look bad in court, make you look bad to the judge, and they even tell your family that you're fucked up. They'll make you look bad to your family when there's probably nothing wrong with you. You got to really think about, if you're headed off to a psych ward, or you have any experience in the psych ward, you're dealing with mental illness or anything, you really have to consider the fact that you might be on the autism spectrum disorder, or you might have personality disorder, like cluster B personality traits, right? We talked about that: histrionic, borderline, antisocial, and narcissistic. You might be some of those. And that doesn't mean, because I've never hallucinated unless I'm tripping on LSD, right? I've never hallucinated. I've never heard voices. I didn't even know what hearing voices was until someone told me. It's like, what? Hearing voices? What does that even mean? Hearing voices? It's like, okay, people hear voices. That's weird. I had to understand. I had to learn what that even meant. It's like, no, I've fucking never heard voices, and never hallucinated. I've never been up and down, right? If I'm drinking a bunch of coffee, I'll be energized, and then maybe I'll crash. But I've never been so manic I'm running around naked thinking I'm Jesus Christ, the Messiah that's come back or some shit. Some people do that. They're on the highway walking around naked, like this Amanda Bynes, right? Amanda Bynes was walking around naked in California or something like that. I don't know what the reason was, but I've heard some stories, social workers that told me some people walking around naked on the highway thinking they're Jesus. And then there's some women that I've heard stories that these nurses tell me they've had this girlfriend that is so manic, hypersexual, will masturbate like 10 times a day. And then she'll just crash and she'll be manically depressed and want to commit suicide and have like suicide attempts. Masturbating 10 times a day, then trying to commit suicide. That's bipolar disorder. That's like mania and super depressive, disorder. So I've never done that. That'd be kind of interesting. That'd be fun. That'd be different from my normal life. I might want to try that out sometime, but I've never had that happen to me. But, that's kind of what a psych ward is. They used to give people lobotomies. They used to kill people, cut out their brains, which is like mutilation, make them retarded. Nowadays, they figured out they could just do the same thing with drugs and make money with it. And it's a lot more effective, cheaper. They'll give you all these drugs, make you retarded, call you crazy. And it's a form of brainwashing. It's just a psyop, psychological operation. They could trick the world. They could give me medication and trick the world, say he's schizophrenia, bipolar, put me in a hospital. I have no communication to the outside world, can't tell them my story. And then the whole world, my own family, everyone will believe that I'm this crazy person that hallucinates and hears voices, and the devil made me do it, and the spirits and the ghosts made me do it, and the boogeyman made me fucking do it. All sorts of stupid shit, right? And that's just what they do to a lot of people. And then really, if you tell a child, right? Say you tell a child, you're stupid, you're so dumb. You're never gonna amount to anything. You're so dumb. You're never gonna do anything with your life. Just accept it and be stupid. That's kind of what they do to people in a psych ward. They say, you're schizophrenic, you're psychotic, you're never going to do anything with your life. Just accept it. Live on disability. Just take it. Take your drugs. Just accept it. It's the same concept. And after a while, a lot of patients believe it. They're like, I'm sick. I need help. I just need my medicine. And I've seen patients like that. There's like, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble and do my time and take my medicine. And they just have a disability check and they live in like Section 8 house. Section 8 apartment, not even a house, Section 8 apartment. I've never been like that. I've always mowed lawns. I've always wanted to work hard. I'm always willing to earn $1 so I could improve and advance my life and support a family, right? Medication doesn't help. Lawyers will try to twist things and be like, oh, the medication is the reason you're doing good. Oh, just keep taking your meds. It's like, no, it's not. You gotta, my personality, the way I'm raised, it's in my DNA. This is my psyche. This is the way I'm raised. These are my beliefs. I believe it's my duty and obligation and responsibility as a man. And it's my honor to really, work hard and support a family. That's on me. That's not some medication. If anything, coffee. The coffee's the drug that helps me with that. Not all these psych drugs that fuck you up and kill people. 250,000 people die a year from medical malpractice. That's a lot. That's 1 million people in 4 years. From preventable medical mistakes. The definition of medical malpractice is a preventable medical mistake. All sorts of doctors that don't wash their hands before surgery, or other cases where they leave sponges in surgeries. But in psych wards, giving people the wrong medication. For psychiatrists, giving them the wrong medication, the wrong dose of medication, concoctions of medications, too much all the time, so overdosing them constantly until they die or go cockeyed or lose the ability to talk and have motor functioning, or their heart palpitations and the heart gives out, and their organs cease to function, organ failure. So they're just heavy depressants. Clozapines killed over 7,000 people. Haldol fucks people up. Thorazine fucks people up. Lithium fucks up your heart because it's like a salt. It has some salt in it, some shit that fucks up your heart. Lithium is real bad for you. A lot of these drugs, I wish I was mentally ill. I truly wish I was, because then all these drugs would have helped. But none of these drugs have helped. I can't honestly say that any of these drugs have helped. They're all downers, and they keep you down. They keep you from working. They keep you from earning a living, because you can't function the same. You don't have the same energy, same mentality, same motivation, and you can't think right. It sucks. Medication is, I don't recommend it. I do recommend medication, but only to my worst enemies, right? My worst enemies, put them on medication, right? Whoever, is out to get me, whoever like wants to hurt me or my family, whether it's the Russians, the North Koreans, Iranians, whether it's like child predators or Mexican cartel, whatever, if someone wants to hurt me or my family or my friends, medicate them, right? Because it'll fuck them up, right? That's who I wish medication upon, my worst enemies, but no one to who I care about. Anyone I care about, this is my recovery channel, my drug recovery channel, where anyone I care about, take your vitamins, exercise, eat right, study hard, learn a craft, master something, become expert at something, whether it's the piano or bookkeeping or accounting, go to college, find solid work, become a plumber, electrician, welder, HVAC technician, work on cars, auto mechanic, aviation mechanic, work on planes, do something with your life, be successful, have a wife and children. If you're a woman, have a husband and children. If you're straight, hopefully. But, all that stuff. I try to talk positive things. And I know there's a lot of politics and I should be like inclusive and all that. That's fine. People just be out there, be happy, be sober, be competent, be straight to where like you can be honest with yourself and be straight with yourself and just stay clean. Keep your nose clean, right? If you're sober and competent and you're wise, you're going to grow old to be you're going to live a long life, a long, healthy life. You're going to have longevity. You're going to live to be a wise old man, wise old woman. You're going to give good advice to youngsters on the block, your children, your grandchildren, right? If you do have children and grandchildren, and you're going to be able to, leave your legacy, right? Build your empire, right? You're going to be able to take care of your kids, be able to afford that palace you've been wanting to get, that palace that you might already have. Take care of it, right? It's yours, right? You have the right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, right to your property, and all these things. So, these are the things that I talk about on my channel. I want you to be successful, happy, in positive relationships, healthy relationships, a healthy relationship with yourself, with God, and just have a positive future and a positive outlook on life, right? For yourself and your family. So these are the things I want to discuss for now. And I hope this information was helpful. I'll talk more about this later. That's all I want to say for now. Again, stay safe, stay American, Semper Fi, take care.